Well, good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever and whenever you happen to be looking at All Stories Matter. If you're just tuning in for the first time, my name is Marvinetta Woodley Penn, and I created this podcast because I sincerely believe that everybody's story matters. I mean, your story is documentation that you were here. And if you don't tell your story, if you don't manage your story, guess what? Somebody else might tell it and they won't get it right. They won't know what happened to you in third grade on whatever Thursday that was that you remember, that memory that keeps floating up and you have no control over it. But it's still active in your life. It's still guiding, it's still influencing a lot of the decisions that you make. So it's important. It is truly, truly, truly important that we not only tell our story, but that we know our own stories. So all stories matter. Again, I'm Marvinetta Woodley Penn, and this is a Joy on Life's Journey production. Now, Joy on Life's Journey is my company where I try to inspire people to live their best lives, to look at their dreams, to self-actualize at that highest level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Because I believe that we're here for a purpose. Every one of us has something that we can do, that we were put on this earth to do. And if you don't know what you were put on this earth to do, by all means, reach out to me because I can help you find that. Now, today, I have a guest in the studio. I'm so happy to have this young lady. In fact, when I first moved here to Kalamazoo from Chicago, I met this young lady, and she was walking past. We were out. I think it was like in the fall, and she was walking across the street. And I says, hey, somebody says, you need to meet this lady. So I finally saw her, and she was like, hey, my name is Wendy Fields. Wind like the wind and feels like the field. Wind in the field. I was like, I like that. And they told me that she worked with the NAACP. I've always respected, appreciated the NAACP. After almost 2 years of trying to get this young lady on my show, actually not 2 years because I have not had the show for 2 years, but for a very long time, I wanted to have a conversation with this young lady. One day, I just called and said, look, I want to come by your office and have a conversation. And she was willing, she was receptive. We had a conversation, and it was so cool. So I'm like, I got to get you on the show because you are a fascinating young lady. So without further ado, I'd like to present to some and introduce to others Miss Wendy Fields. How are you today, Wendy?
I'm doing well.
Good,
Yeah,
good,
can't complain.
good.
Yes.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
And you
Likewise.
all dressed up, dolled up. I'm loving the jewelry.
Was at a different event before I came here, so here I am.
Just a busy lady. And where were you, might I ask?
I was at the farewell retirement reception for City Manager Jim Ritzma.
Oh.
Yeah, so today is his last day, and
Oh.
but don't say it sadly.
No, no.
Because he's happy.
I can imagine. Is he
Yes.
retiring?
He is. He's
Oh,
retiring. And he will remain in
nice.
Kalamazoo, but he's retiring.
He's just like, I've had it. I've had
Yeah.
enough. I want to do some other things
Do
with
some
my
other
life.
things.
That
Got
is
grandkids. That'll make you
fabulous.
do it.
Oh, how many grandkids does he have? Do you know?
I think he has one. I think he's like 18 months.
Oh,
or
gosh.
something. Yeah.
He hasn't gotten to the other phase yet. He's still in the dream
Yes.
phase. In the honeymoon,
Honeymoon.
phase.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. You're such a busy lady. Such a busy lady. Every time I go someplace, I run into Wendy. And she's just always in the right places at the right time. So, Wendy, you are a Kalamazoo native.
Yes.
Tell me about your growing up here in Cal, because she is also the president of the local NAACP. So we're going to talk a lot about that, but as you know, I'm always getting into people's story because I want to know the trajectory from I was born
Yes.
and I went to school and I did this, that, and the third. So I want to know the whole thing.
So, born and raised in Kalamazoo, born at Borges Hospital. I'm the third of 8 children.
8 children.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So my parents, 5 girls first, then 3 boys. But that third child started kindergarten when I was 4 because my birthday is in October. And so at that time, as long as the birthday was before December 1st, we started at that time.
Okay.
So, but I can remember my mom telling my kindergarten teacher, she's kind of young. If it doesn't work out, let me know, give a call, and I'll come back and get her. Because my mom said I was very special. I didn't know what special was until I got later. But anyway, so there, grew up in a very diverse neighborhood.
Okay.
So we, my community was very defined by blocks within there. Certain streets we couldn't go across, and so, but
Okay.
yet we all went to the same elementary school. So in my
What school was that?
Lincoln Elementary.
Okay,
And
okay.
so in my neighborhood, we were very diverse. We had Dutch and Latinx, Black, just a very diverse
Okay.
community. So, and we all went to the same elementary school. So we all knew each other. We were able to play with each other, go to each other's homes, and that kind of thing. Couldn't go in each other's houses, but we could go and play outdoors
Okay.
at home. So no, mom didn't play that.
I tell you, my mother didn't either. No. You don't
Mm-mm.
come. You don't go in other people's houses, and they
Absolutely
don't
not.
come in my house.
Absolutely not. So it was very close-knit neighborhood community.
Yeah.
I had lots of cousins within that community. And, but yeah, so I can remember that there was a Dutch family there and also a German family, and they were elderly, but I can remember when it would snow or when the leaves came down in the fall, my mom would always send us over there to rake their leaves, and you better not ask for a penny, and you better not accept a penny, So
Ooh.
advocacy and
Yes,
volunteerism and
yes.
servitude was instilled in us at an early age. But I really did not experience and truly understood what racism was until we were bused out of the neighborhood.
Ooh.
And so we were bused when I went to junior high school, and lots of fighting and things there because, like I said, we had a diverse community that I grew up in.
Yes.
So that was
So you said there were a lot of fighting. There were a lot of fights.
yeah, there's a lot of fighting. And so,
How? What caused it?
racism, and
Okay.
like we were bused to a predominantly white school, white area.
Yes.
So we weren't wanted there.
Oh.
So there was a lot of fighting there, and I'd probably say maybe probably around our middle of 8th grade, kind of started mellowing out. It didn't go away, but yeah, that first 7th grade, part of 8, it was a lot of fighting there. So
Wow.
yeah.
I taught in Chicago, and I taught at a school on the north side of Chicago, because Chicago is very racially divided. And I lived on the north side because I just thought it was exciting when I first came to Chicago, and then I started teaching. And I was at a school where they bused kids in from the west side of Chicago. And oh my gosh, the way those children were segregated, there was no fighting. Not any fighting, because this was like in early 80s, perhaps. So there was no fighting, but the division and the way those kids felt so isolated. And then one of the teachers that I was in the lounge with the teachers, and she said, "Why do you try so hard with those students?" I'm like, "What? They can't learn. Why do you try so hard with them?" I said, "Because they look like me. And I know what they have to fight against. So I'm doing a disservice if I don't try so hard with them." So it was still the same push and pull, but just in a different way. It was hidden. whereas yours was out there.
It was out
That's
there. And that was even, because like my class was not the first. Lincoln Elementary School used
Yeah.
to also be a junior high school. So my
Okay.
sister was able to go through junior high there. My second sister was not. So she was at South for a little bit. So it wasn't like my class was the first to be brought there,
Yeah.
be bused there. So it wasn't as bad as it for us as it was for some of them. So, but still, it was going on, It was
right
going
here
on.
in Kalamazoo.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're like,
And yeah, I mean everybody thinks because Kalamazoo is resource rich. Racism is here and still alive and well.
Uh-huh.
And even when I went to high school, which was at Central,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of fighting and racism and riots there. Absolutely. Yes. And it's Old Central. Well, we call it Old Central because it's on West Niche. So that where Shinnery is, that was a high school. That was a high school.
Chinnery
Yeah.
Hall.
That was a high school.
That was a high school.
Yeah, that was called Central. And so when you hear
Okay.
people reference Old Central, that's what they're
Okay.
referencing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so then they built the new Central out
the
on Drake.
new, yeah.
So,
I've subbed there. I've started subbing a bit.
okay.
And I want to talk about that a little bit later. Interesting. And it was still going on, but not quite as much.
Not quite
What do
as
you
much,
think- what do you
but I
think
think it was
was-
more intense.
Really?
Yes.
Because they were older, the kids were
Because they
older.
were older. Yes.
So what do you think it was? Just misunderstandings or just things they were bringing from home or things that were already in them?
All
or?
all of that.
All
you
of
got to
that.
remember, I was born in the 50s, so we're talking
Yeah.
civil rights. We're talking
Yeah,
some
in the
of
midst of it.
all of that. We're in the midst of the 60s and 70s, and
Yeah.
so all of that. James Brown, "Say It Loud," I'm black, I'm proud.
Okay.
All of that.
Yeah.
So and I think it was all of that misunderstanding, things that people had heard, as it even is today. You hear it and you assume, and the stereotypical things that
Yeah.
sometimes we get labeled with, and I think on both sides,
Okay.
but yeah.
Were there ever any efforts to bring people together for conversations?
Okay, so like we're doing now, having healing circles and all of that stuff, and blah, blah, blah. No, not to my knowledge. No. I'll just
But
say
that was
this.
not something that was popular at the time,
No,
though.
no.
Okay, okay.
I can remember my parents. My parents come from the South.
Okay.
Right?
I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, so how did your parents
Yes.
deal with that?
They came from
Okay.
the South. So
Yeah.
there were a lot of things that they did not tell us about, their experiences. So I think that was one of the reasons why we didn't realize what it was or have a name for it, at least for me. But I can remember when I was about 9, 10 years old, my girlfriend's father had died, and so he was being taken back to Shorter, Alabama to be buried. And so she wanted me to go with her and her family to her father's funeral. So I remember my mom telling her mom, make sure you keep an eye on Wendy, that mouth. Da 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 da,
Down south? Oh,
all
no.
that. So I still didn't know what all that meant, but it was
Yeah,
like, okay,
right.
so we go down there, and I remember us going to a little country store, not far from the little girl that lived there.
Yes.
So we went to the store, ordered my things, and I extended my hand with my money in it, and so the little girl that lived there said, "You have to put your money on the counter." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because you have to." And I said, "No." She said, "But you have to. She's not going to take it out of your hand." The store owners were white woman.
Yes.
She's not going to take it out of your hand. And I said, "Well, I'm not putting it on the counter." And so she said, "Well, you have to." I said, "Well, I just won't buy it." I didn't think anything of it. And so we left the store. But I remember the look on her face. Her eyes were so big, and it was like she just couldn't believe it. So we go back home to her house. And
the girl that you were with?
not the girl that I
The
was with,
woman.
the woman that lived, the little girl that lived there.
Yes, the little
Yeah.
girl that lived
Yeah,
there.
that lived there.
Oh, her
and so
reaction to you
Yes.
was like she couldn't believe somebody was doing
Right.
this. Oh my
So
goodness.
we get back to the house,
yeah.
and she told her mom, but again, I didn't think anything of it. But about 2 or 3 in the morning, they got a visit, and they were told that those uppity Negroes from up north had to leave. We had to pack up that night. I still didn't know what that meant.
Wendy.
No, did not know what all that meant. And we left. We packed up and left because they're the ones that still had to live there. So even then, when I came back and told my mom, she didn't go into any details as to what all of that meant. And like I said, I was 19 years old, but it was like, okay.
Right, that's
Yeah.
all you can do.
That was it. So, but yeah, so when I think back, but as you get older, and then now you're at South, and so you're learning some other things, and you understand some of what all that was. Even my parents participated in the boycott against Van Avery Drugstore.
Van Avery?
It was a drugstore there called Van Avery
Here or
in
down
Kalamazoo.
south?
No.
Here in Kalamazoo. Oh my gosh.
And so, yeah, you have to go Google it. But basically, in a nutshell, they would service blacks and people of color, but they wouldn't hire them. So, we were their main customers, but they would not hire. So, my parents, there was a boycott started by some young folks. NAACP was involved, but anyway, they picketed and boycotted. It eventually closed down. It was like, well, we'll hire you now, too little, too late. So they ran them out of business. They closed down.
Oh my goodness, that
So-
economic pressure.
Yes, so where
Yes.
it was, ended up being a library, Alma Powell Library, then it turned into the Ecumenical Senior Center, which now has been torn down because they're building a brand new one.
Building a new one. Yes, the people from the Ecumenical Center were meeting at the Milestone
Right.
Center when Rotary was there.
Right.
Rotary has now moved to another location, to
Right.
the original location. Oh, all this Kalamazoo history is like
Kalamazoo,
flooding
yeah.
in. And that's the story that you just told me is one of the reasons I do this show, because if we don't tell those stories, if we are not unafraid to tell those stories that can be hurtful, to a lot of listeners, of people who've had that experience, then they just die with us. I used to ask my mother, I know this is your interview, but we've
go
had,
ahead.
I'm
we'll
a
go.
child of the
Yeah.
50s too. So we've had so many similar experiences. I used to ask my mother, because I've always been really curious, tell me about growing up. Tell me about your life when you were my age. And the only thing she would say is, I can't, it's too painful.
Yeah.
What? And that always floored me. I'm like, I just want to know. I want to know the bad times. But she was like, I can't.
No.
I cannot relive that. Oh my God, think of all those
I know.
powerful stories that are just gone.
Gone, because they didn't want to talk about it either. I remember one time my grandfather, on my dad's side, because my dad brought all his siblings here.
I wanted to hear, because you said
Yes.
you had a lot of cousins.
Yes, my dad.
Yes.
Yes, my dad brought all his siblings here, and so all of them lived with him except for one, and that brother is gone now. But but that's what he did. He got here because he and my mom married. I think mom was like 18 and he was like 21. But he came here, got a place, and except for her, and we all were born and raised here, and so he brought his siblings. Yeah, I just remember house was packed with people, but it was so funny when we think about how many people actually lived with us.
Yeah.
That it's like, dang, we're standing room only. When you think about the number, but they were and have all done well, and
Yes.
so
And I'm
people
sure
are-
it didn't
yes.
feel like it when you were
No,
growing up. It was
absolutely
just, oh, we just
not.
got so much fun.
Absolutely not. I don't know
community.
if you know Robin Robinson, who has the radio show, The Touch Gospel Saturday.
No.
Well, okay, so anyway, she's my first cousin, but it was like they lived down the street, and their parents had no, 11 children. My
Oh my
parent had
gosh.
8. So you're talking about any given time when it was truly a neighborhood with lots of houses, because all of those are gone. It'd be nothing for it to be 100 children up and down the street, between like probably 4 or 5 blocks. Everybody had big families. I mean, Latinx,
Oh my God, that must
white,
have been just
oh my God. We never
incredible.
thought about it one way
Oh,
or the other. So,
yes, that was
but
what
yes,
you knew.
that's what I
And it
knew.
was just communal living. Oh my
People
gosh.
don't know all the businesses that were even on the north side. I mean, there was dry cleaners, there was
Yeah, yeah.
gas stations, there were laundromats and shoe repair shops, all of this stuff, black owned.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so it was, everybody knew everybody, and but yeah, I have a large family, a large extended family. So we have Johnsons and Gardners and Smiths and
Doreen Gardner.
oh yeah, Doreen is my cousin through marriage. Her husband's grandmother and my grandmother are first cousins.
My goodness.
So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's all together.
Yes.
All in there together. That
Oh,
is
yes.
awesome. So the seeds for you living your life today and doing the work that you do were planted some time ago. What did you want to be when you were growing up? What did you
Okay.
think your life was going to be like?
Honestly, I did not know. I know that, and I don't know where it came from, except for I can only say it's God and steel. But I've always been an advocate and a fighter against, I should say, for the underdog. You know,
Uh-huh.
have always, um, uh, have always done that. And so I never honestly knew what I wanted to be.
You did?
I-
Did you dream when you were a kid, like one day, wouldn't it be something if? Or
I remember.
okay, uh-huh.
Okay, so this is a funny story.
Okay.
I remember when I was in elementary school, I think I was in first grade. You remember, they're called, at least when I had my kids, they were called garanimals. You know how you could
Yeah,
match it?
yeah.
Well, even before then, but it didn't have a name except for you had the underwear.
Right.
That was Monday through
Right.
Saturday. You remember? And you could get the T-shirts, little girls. And so I remember when she asked me, I said, oh, I want to have a boyfriend to match each one of my panties, to match. I want a Monday boyfriend, a Tuesday boyfriend.
No,
and
you
so,
didn't.
yes, I did. Well, I didn't know what that meant. It's just that, I told her I didn't want to get married, but that's what I wanted. And so, oh my God, she called my mom because she wanted to know what was going on. And my mother said, huh? It's like, she didn't know why she was being called in. And she came back and told me, she said, well, the teacher said you wanted a boyfriend. Yep, that's what I
That's what I want.
And so I don't know where that came from because, like I said, my parents were married for 50-something years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought, I remember, though, telling her I did not want to ever get married. And I don't know where that came from, but did not want that. I told her I wanted 2 children, a boy and a girl. And, but I never can remember wanting a profession per se. But that's what I did. Didn't get married. I'm 71, not married, never been, never wanted to be. But I do have 2 children, a boy and a girl.
You are
Yeah.
kidding. Isn't that something how those dreams come true?
That's all I wanted.
Yes.
So
But did
but
you have the boyfriends
I
5
didn't.
days of the week?
I didn't. I just don't know where that came from, but I didn't. No. And so that's what
That
was
would have
funny.
been too
matter,
funny.
Matter of fact, I had a lot of male friends, platonic, and one when I was at I was at Lincoln. And so I played with the boys a lot. And I remember this one boy, because we were friends, and he told me he liked me. And so I hit him in the nose. And so gave him a bloody nose.
Oh my
and,
gosh.
He says to me, what are you doing liking me? We're friends. I don't want you to be. And so he said, okay, but don't tell anybody you hit me in the nose. So we went back to being friends. But yeah, just, I had
That
a
is
couple
funny.
ride or die girlfriends, but just So I don't know, just, but yeah, but not boyfriends per se.
Oh my
Mm-mm,
goodness.
no.
Did you have a lot of male cousins?
I have a lot of male cousins.
Okay, okay.
And like I said, it was five girls first, and then my brothers
Yes,
came. So of course
yes.
we were very protective of them.
Mm-hmm.
And when we finally had, well, we didn't have, but my aunt, who my dad helped to raise, when she and her husband finally had the first boy in the family, he was my first cousin. But you know, we just loved him to death because there was just so many girls.
Oh, yeah.
And even now, there's a lot of girls in my family, a lot of women in my family. But yeah, I've always been an advocate for the underdog. Matter of fact, that's Rhonda Stryker and I were classmates in middle school at South Junior
Okay,
High,
okay.
and she was being bullied.
Wait, Rhonda
Um,
Stryker, who is that?
Rhonda Stryker, she's the
Oh,
person that
she's the-
owned Stryker Johnson,
Yes.
that company, her.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Cool.
So yeah. But yeah, she was being bullied. I remember
Because I'm not
standing
from,
up.
remember, I'm not from
Oh, that's
Kalamazoo,
right,
so I
yeah.
don't know a bunch of people.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So we laugh about that even now when we see each other. But I've always been an advocate for the underdog. I cannot stand bullying, and I've always stood up and
Okay.
stood against
Uh,
those kind of things. So even though I never ever had a goal or desire to be president um, of NAACP, it's what ended up happening because of my predecessor, who just did quite a bit of damage to the organization under
Wait
his
a minute.
leadership.
Now, we talked about you going to elementary school, you
Yeah.
going down south.
Yep.
High school, what was high school like? We got time.
High school was great. High school was great.
Were you involved in extracurricular activities?
No, no, no. I remember doing a lot of volunteering in classrooms, tutoring of students. But I enjoyed my, and even then, it's really interesting because, like I said, I was at South, but we had several African American teachers that we could talk to, gravitate towards, and that I think we have more then than we do now. I'm not for sure because I don't know, but I just remember it was those teachers that also guided you and to make sure, because I had a mouth, Wendy, you know, come in my room and, you know, da 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 da, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But I enjoyed high school. I got pregnant in high school in my senior year. And so when
Now, which day of the week was he?
oh, here's one he's father of the kids. I don't know what day of the week.
We're going to call
but
him
yes,
Tuesday.
yes. But he was my first boyfriend. I think we were going together for like 2 years, 3 years
Uh-huh.
before, but you
Uh-huh,
don't see him.
uh-huh.
But got pregnant in high school,
Uh-huh.
and at that time there was a program called Community Education for Young Women. Is
Okay.
what it was called.
Okay.
And that program was for pregnant girls.
Okay,
You know,
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
at Central, which now is Old Central because the new Central has been built,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so with that program, it was just an excellent program where, you know, we did everything from OB care to education around parenting and all of that, you know, and it had a daycare, so you could still go to class there
Oh.
and then you come down and have time with your baby. If you're breastfeeding,
Yes.
feeding, whatever, and so you were learning all about infant growth and development and even, you know, you went there when you were pregnant, but it was all in the same place. Excellent, excellent, excellent program. And
that-
anyway, they did away with it, which they never should have ever.
And you know, I remember programs like that. I got pregnant in high school also. I didn't have that advantage of having anybody tell me anything about child rearing. And my mother was a stay-at-home wife. But when I would ask her, "Mom, what's happening inside me?" She had 10 children. And I'm like, yeah. There were 2 sets of us. The first set was 7, and then my set was 3.
Okay.
But I'm like, "Mom, what's going on?" Once she got over the shock of me being pregnant. But she was like, "I don't want to talk about that. I'm like, you did it 10 times. I said, I don't want to talk about that. So nobody talked to me about it. Girl, I had no idea. So that was, and there was a program like that in Chicago called Tesla. Tesla, I think it was. Isn't that something? Now we got the Tesla car.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why those programs, was it because they felt the girls should be integrated into the general population?
I don't know, because honestly, what I like about that program, I mean, when I look back in retrospect, what I
Yeah.
like about it, because what I don't like is what they end up turning into. So that was a program just for the
Yeah.
women, just for the
Yes.
girls. That's it, just for the girls.
Yes.
And so, don't know what the thinking was behind it or whatever. I just know it worked. And so then, fast forward years later, they continued with the program, but then they started bringing in the fathers of the baby. Well, you've got a father with 2 or 3 girls pregnant by the same one. So the fighting, this, and I'm all for men understanding and being educated
Yes.
around that. That just for me was not the space
No.
in the place to do it.
No.
And so anyway, it whittled down to end up being, I think and I don't even know if it's still going on now, but at Lloyd Norris High School. And I
Okay.
think they had something similar, because I know they had the daycare there. I don't know if they had the same program. I mean, when I was there, it was nutrition and maternal infant health and all that.
Yes.
And there was OB/GYN
Oh my
on
gosh.
duty to talk with you.
Yes.
There were nurses. There was they even brought the WIC program there so that you could get your WIC and all of that stuff. So it was like one-stop shopping. But that was not necessarily your OB provider, but they were
Yes.
there
Yes.
to act as the doctor. So it was an excellent program. And so it's just
Sometimes
kind of
when
that
we
really
think that
thought.
we're advancing, we're really regressing because we're not doing a holistic look at things. It might be segregated. It might be segregating for those girls, but that's what they need. That's what I needed at the time. And I didn't have that. Oh my gosh, that is incredible
whole
that
school, I
people
mean,
were
yeah.
forward thinking like that.
Yeah, we had a whole floor that was just dedicated to that program.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a really, really good program. On the 3rd floor is where we had all our classes and things, and then I think the main floor there was the daycare and stuff, and you
Yes.
could see the doctor there just to do a check-in and do
Yes.
visits and things, and it was good. It was good. Really good.
Okay. So did you ever leave Kalamazoo?
Never,
You never lived anyplace else?
never.
Did you ever want to?
No. But this is the interesting thing.
Yes, yes.
I never wanted to, but I encouraged my kids as they were going to go see more. I was always content with Kalamazoo. Even though nothing was perfect and that kind of thing, I traveled.
Yeah.
It was just big enough for me. It's what I liked, and but I always encouraged my kids
Yeah.
to not stay here. Go travel, go look to see if you want to live somewhere else, that kind of thing, and yeah. So
That is
so my
awesome.
daughter doesn't live here, but they travel a lot. Even my daughter, even now, she just flew out today to Mexico, so they travel a lot. Her and my
Good.
granddaughter, yeah, the other one doesn't travel as much, and but
Is
some
she
good
here?
things, yes,
Okay.
yeah. So she's becoming a nurse.
Oh,
She's in
nice.
school now to become a nurse, and she has a little one, and doing real good. So my other one, she lives in Atlanta with her husband and one child. But no, I always say, and so even now when I go visit them or wherever I go, I love visiting, but it's too big. I don't want to be on the highway a half an hour going to the mall. I don't want to go somewhere. It takes me 40 minutes to get there, so that's where.
Tell me
I
about it.
don't want to, but they're fine with it, and I'm fine with them.
Yeah.
But born and raised here, love it.
Oh.
Matter of fact, all of us,
Uh-huh.
all 8 of us live here. with the exception of one that lives in Battle Creek, but it's here the majority of the time. But 5 of us, see each other every day. We have coffee every morning.
You were telling me that story. That
Every
is
morning.
amazing.
Coffee
You
every
guys have
morning.
coffee
Yeah,
every morning.
Every morning, every morning. And so,
You just,
but yeah.
hey, you just,
yeah. And when my mom was
hey.
like,
Oh,
that's what we did. We come by
Oh,
before work, and
gosh.
so everybody's tired except for two. Yeah. So,
that is
Yeah.
so cool. You
Yeah.
guys have coffee, you check in, chat a little
Yeah.
bit.
yeah.
Do you
and
get
so-
together for Sunday dinners or
No,
regular?
that was mama.
Oh,
Nobody likes
aren't
to cook.
mamas the glue?
Yes, and so what we still do though is
Yes.
the holidays we get together. We all
Okay.
potluck and get together and we eat,
Okay.
together. And sometimes through the summer we might gather at one home or something. But it was my mother loved to cook. None of us loved to cook. None of us.
No?
No, if I have cereal and popcorn, hey, I got a meal. If I want to eat, I'll go out and let one of my siblings cook and grab something from there. But I don't enjoy cooking. I don't have to. I don't want to take care of anybody but me. I don't even have a flower. I don't want a pet. I don't want a
Get
fish.
out.
I don't want nothing. I don't want to do any of it. And so no. So I love my life. I love the space in me. And,
Wonderful. Wonderful. That is so awesome. How did you come to the NAACP?
So
What was your introduction to it?
like I said, my parents were members.
Oh, your
there.
parents were
Mhm.
members.
When they did
Okay.
the march and all that
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
But that's not where I got the majority of information. I remember being at church one Sunday, and Dr. Charles Warfield, who was the president at that time of the branch, approached me because he and I were attending the same church, and he said, "I need you to come to the meeting because I need you."
Oh,
Now, he didn't really know me, so I don't know. I'm just going to say the Spirit led him because it's like, okay. So I went to the meeting and that whole piece. And so he said, well, you really need to be on a committee. I said, okay. So this lady was chair of membership. And so she says, why don't you come join my committee? I said, okay. I joined the daggone committee, and probably a week or two later, she said, well, she's resigning as chair and that I could be chair now. Really?
oh my
So,
goodness.
Yeah, just like that. So anyway, it's like, okay, I read the bylaws to see what that entailed. And anyway, ended up being the membership chair, and then at some point in time became third vice president, and then second vice president, and then first vice president. And then my predecessor just took us down a dark road where we should not have gone as president.
Yeah.
And not so much that he took us there, but it was his own behaviors because he was prosecuted and just a whole lot of ugliness. And I was in Mississippi doing the same kind of crazy stuff.
Oh, he went to Mississippi?
And doing the same kind of stuff
Oh,
because we
no.
had to file, and that was an interesting piece because people were assuming, NAACP bylaws says that the only person that can speak publicly is the president
Okay, okay, okay.
or a designee.
yes.
Well, he did not designate anybody to speak anything. So when things were going on and some things that came up and all this other crap that came up that he ended up being prosecuted for, well, we remained silent in that we could not speak publicly.
Yes.
But what I did as first vice president, I did go around to a lot of our funders and
Uh-huh.
spoke one-on-one to say, don't support us because he's still in that role. We filed what is called a Title 10 to get him removed, but the only people that can remove him is the national board, the national president. And so that was a process, but in the meantime, he still on paper
Yes.
was the president. So people in the community was thinking that we were supporting him with all the craziness that he was doing. And so it took a lot to go and clean that up. So I was meeting with the college boards and the hospitals and everybody else, our
Yes.
funders, Kalamazoo Foundation, a lot of them, just to tell them this is what's really going on.
Oh,
And,
goodness gracious. Glad it's good you were
But
able
we,
to do
yeah,
that.
so we could, and had to help them understand that we vote you in locally,
Uh-huh.
but we can't vote you out. only, and so that's what it looked like. So did a whole lot of that, and then I was approached by some other individuals, some other community people asking me to please run because we had to work to clean it back up. And so I did. I ran, and so was elected as president. And so we worked hard to turn that ocean liner around and to restore our credibility and our integrity. And so I have an amazing executive committee who supports me.
Good.
Who does a lot of work.
Yeah. And how long have you been in this position?
I've been president, I think, 6 years.
Okay.
6 years, since 1819. That's when 2019, right when COVID started, something like that, in 18. But yeah, so everybody's volunteer, nobody gets paid, and so, yeah.
Do you get paid?
I do not get paid, I do not get paid a red cent. I do not get paid, and that's in our bylaws. No NAACP president, executive committee members, nobody gets paid. We're all volunteers. We're all volunteers.
Okay.
It's one of the reasons why we work so hard to make sure our Freedom Fund banquets are successful, because that's where we generate a lot of the monies that help sustain us through the year.
Yes.
And the membership. And so that's why we're always pushing membership in that. But and sometimes we go for grants, like to get out the vote grants, so that we can have money to do that work. But nobody gets paid.
And why do you think they had that structure?
I don't know.
Nonprofit structure.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can guess, but I won't get into it, but I don't know.
I looked up some information about the NAACP, but I did not see that.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Is that an inner secret?
It's in the bylaws.
Whoa.
And our bylaws, if you go to NAACP.org and Google bylaws, everything's in there. It tells you we cannot, no branches can own property.
They just don't want money to get involved.
I do not know. I cannot.
But you have to raise money for operations. If you have a space, you have to pay rent.
And so again, we're talking the Freedom Fund. You know, what you generate from there.
Yeah.
What you generate from membership. We can always apply for certain grants.
Yes.
You know, but that's how it sustains itself. The organization sustains itself. It's through those efforts. And it's in the bylaws that you have to have a Freedom Fund. So, yeah. And so even with that, there are certain grants that you can apply for. Let's just say if you wanted to do an event, depending on what that event is, or you can always apply for a grant. We can apply to the foundations and those kind of things for grants.
Yes.
But very intentional and very specific. So even one of the things that we're looking at doing now is like our AXO program.
Yes.
I want to restart that. And so, yeah, I will reach out to different organizations like the foundation. This is what I want to do. It's youth engagement, yada, 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 yada.
Yes.
And different kind of things like that. So, and, you know, this is our 87 years here locally. Somewhere about that. But so, no, it works, and it's
I don't want to keep being stuck on that, but have any directors ever balked about that? Ever wanted a change for that?
I cannot tell you because I don't know the whole history of, and I'm pretty sure that even with some of the things that are in place has to do with things that may or may not have happened way back in the past, you know, and so would it be time to revisit? Probably.
Yeah.
And each branch has the opportunity to submit resolutions and stuff and do that thing. So there's been some changes even in our bylaws in the way some of that is done. But some of it, like I know, for instance, the fact that the only person that should have a complete copy of the membership is the, and it's all in the bylaw, is the secretary. And one of the reasons for that is because way back when, sometime, I don't know when, there was individuals that when it was more public,
Yeah.
the membership list,
Yes.
was getting the memberships list and then holding it against like their employees and that kind of stuff and bullying them with that. And, you know, you need to get out of this organization
Oh my
because
gosh.
so what the NAACP decided to do was that one person gets to have all that information, and that's the secretary, so we don't make it so public, and it's not easy for people to get, yeah, they were using that against folks. So there's a lot of history, and a lot of it I don't know, but I remember asking, well, why, you know, why can't so-and-so have the, but that was, and it's a measure of protecting
Yes.
branch
yes.
and others.
Yes. What's your motivation? Your main motivation to keep doing the work, because it's a heavy lift.
It's a heavy lift, but I am just for what's right. It just really behooves me that people don't do things just because it's right.
Do the right, just do the right
Just do the right thing. How simple is that?
Yes.
You know, so I
yes.
can't stand the lying,
Yeah.
you know, that
Yeah.
people have to endure. I can't stand the bullying.
Yes.
And so for me, it's all justice.
Yes.
You know, it's just fighting for that. And it's having, I tell it, when I go before some of the places that I have to go, I have to tell them in a minute, you don't hire me, I work for Jesus. And Jesus has kept me, and that's what I do. I just have to do what I know to be right.
Yes.
And, yeah, I just have to do what's right. How hard is that?
That's a great thing. That is
Yeah.
great.
So,
Oh my God, I just didn't know that. It is just
yeah.
taking me aback. Now, what
Yeah.
did you do before coming to the NAACP?
Oh, so I worked for the county for almost 40 years.
Oh.
As in maternal infant health as a support advocate, so that's another one of my
Another advocacy.
my yeah. And so working with moms and their babies, and so
Okay.
the overall goal is to reduce infant mortality here in Kalamazoo County because we
Yeah.
have one of the highest infant mortality rates in the state of Michigan.
In Kalamazoo County.
Kalamazoo County, as small as we are, so, but yeah, so with that, that's what it was. So it was always awesome to work and be engaged with families and things, because we were in the homes. It wasn't just you go to your office and you do a check, at least for me, it wasn't check off list. And so we worked hard to advocate for clients, for babies, and teaching them how to advocate and be empowered, because I don't like enabling, and I won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to empower them,
Yeah.
educating them on
Yeah.
the systems and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
overall goal to have healthy birth outcomes, healthy maternal
Oh.
outcomes. So, and we did that, and we did it well.
And it goes back to your earlier years when you were pregnant and you were able to go to this school that gave you all this information that led to you being an amazing mother, to you knowing how to take care of babies. And then you spent 40 years doing the same thing. That is so cool.
Oh, so yeah, that was really good. Well, I shouldn't say the whole 40 years. About 10
Yeah.
of those years I was in Head Start.
Okay.
But again, working with these toddlers, I just love them. These kids, so preschool. I think I did that for about 10 and then went to maternal infant health. But all within the county.
Yes.
So, yeah, and so addressing some things there. I ended up being a union organizer, a union rep, and yeah, all
Because
of
of your organizing
yeah.
ability,
Well,
and
some
because
things that
of your
just weren't right.
speaking,
Yes, and
because
things weren't
of your
right.
ability to speak out and to tell the truth, hey, to those people that needed to hear it.
So we started a
Yes.
union. Yeah, there was a handful of us, and so we did, but got some changes done. And
Good.
so, yeah.
Good. Now we don't have a lot of time left, but you're such a good guest. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being so open. As I said, I'm a sub now. Because, when I was in Chicago, I had my organization, Global Girls. I had taught 19 years in Chicago public schools teaching English and theater, and I was always in high school. Loved it. But like you said, I got tired of spending an hour on the highway if I wanted to go someplace in the suburbs. An hour on the highway. Now, I always lived in the hood, so I lived close to my work, and when I was teaching, I lived close to the school. But if I wanted to go downtown, it would take 45 minutes sometimes. I'm like, I've done this. I don't want to do this anymore. So I left, and I thought I was going to start Global Girls up here. It didn't work out that way, and that's fine. But now I miss the kids. I really miss being around young people. And so I says, well, one of the ways I can do it is to go into the school because I really want some programming in schools anyway. And I'm going into elementary schools and I'm going into high schools now. And I'm concerned about our children. I'm concerned about public education. I guess because, I did it for so long, and I remember, like you, when education really educated more than just the curriculum. Of course we learned. That was a given that you're going to learn how to read and write and compute, or you're going to learn these things. And you're going to learn some history, okay? But you're going to learn a lot more because teachers then poured into you and they could tell something's wrong, what's going on, come here, or see me during your lunch period, or something. And so I don't remember very many people in my classes who fell behind, who were not reading at grade level, who were not thinking about something about their lives, about their futures. And today, when I go into the classroom, the things that I see, it's like, this is 2025. And I'm not seeing a lot that is encouraging to me. So I'm going to leave it alone because some of my teachers might see this episode. You know who you are. And I'm running into some who the children are well behaved, and in some schools they're not. And I know that I'm tiptoeing around what I want to say because this is going on public airways. When I taught, I felt it was my responsibility. I couldn't say what the parents hadn't done because I was getting a salary. Parents don't get a salary to do what they do, and they can only teach what they know. My mother could only teach me about having a child, what she knew, and she didn't know very much. So parents can only teach what they know, but teachers are trained, and it's so complicated. It's so complex. I want to hear what you have to say about this because I think that in 2025, we know so much. It was like we were saying that at that point, people didn't know about certain things that we know about today. People didn't know about therapy when we were growing up. Nobody knew. Nobody talked about that. So, but now that we know, when you know better, you try to do better. What do you think? Because you're working with systems, you're working on racial justice, you're working on employment, you're working on child health and all that. What do you think about our children today?
So, I'm not in the schools.
Yes.
I don't have any kids in the school system per se.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking it, and some of what we do and are informed about usually comes through the complaints that we get. I mean,
Complaints from whom?
Parents, like we, and we've not gotten a complaint from Kalamazoo per se. And again, this is only written ones, but we had one from Sturgis, two black boys where the grandmother filed a complaint, said that she thought that they were being discriminated against, kicked out of school a lot, blah, 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 blah. And so we went in and, she was right. But one of the things about, we met with the superintendent there, and one of the things about him is that he was open and receptive to hearing, to learning, so much so that we were able to make recommendations around training and helping them with the teachers even.
Yes.
With, writing out plans and how to document in a constructive way things that were happening around the schools. But anyway, with that, was able to, mom felt supported, and so some other things were put in place, and kids are doing well. We went out there about a month or several weeks ago just to follow up to see how things were going, what things were going good. With that, we had another situation in Mattawan. Same thing, complaint from a white father who adopted black boys, but he saw it and he filed a complaint, and bullying and things that were going on. I don't even want to say bullying. It was the couple of the staff members that were discriminatory practice. And so he had taken his kids out of Mattawan School and put them in Portage so they could be around more diverse there. So anyway, we're looking to follow back up with him to see if some of the things we recommended around that to would help those that are coming in, because there's biracial. We advocated strongly for Dr. Slate to be hired because his predecessor was not good and did not have the best interest for black students, particularly black males. And that was evident by some of the programming things that she ended and that would have supported children that were color, BIPOC programming and stuff. But anyway, they, ended ways and paid her severance, and she's gone on her merry way. And so I do like some of the things that Dr. Slade is implementing. I like the accountability for everybody. Students, parents, community. He's holding us all accountable, as I think it should be. So when I think about myself having to turn around an ocean liner to get it headed in the right direction, I think he has to be afforded that same kind of time to get things turned around, because I think this is only his second year. So you're talking about going from superintendent that, in my opinion, didn't care to somebody that's holding us accountable. And it's all of us. We used to go into the schools because the kids, male and female, were fighting so much. So NAACP went in along with the teaching staff, along with Kalamazoo Public Safety. So there was a group of folks that went in, and then the parents were being brought in, and the kids were being brought in. So they were being held accountable at a different level, and it's not going to be tolerated. So when you look at what those numbers were and what they are now, and some of these instances, once they were all brought in together, found out they all knew each other. Parents didn't know that their kids fight, and so that and Don Webster, who's over security there, is doing a wonderful job, and I think that's what it has to be: us peeling back off the lid, looking at it, holding each other accountable, speaking truth to power, and now do we do it, and how do we do it? So I think that the graduation rate has gone up. And teachers are being held accountable too, as to whether they're teaching or not teaching. Parents are being held accountable. You're not coming in here and curse out the teachers. That ain't gonna happen. We're not gonna tolerate. And so that's where he's coming from. And I think it's working. And so I do support his strategy, because I think it's working. And he did get, what was it, Superintendent of the Year or something for something, because the numbers went around. So we have been there supporting him. It's the same way when that one incident came up, and so many rumors and things. And so I know we got a call about that whole incident with the football. And so we're not doing anything. I don't even know what's going on. I don't jump because you say I should jump. We need to vet and see what's going on.
Investigate, indeed. Well, I am so glad to hear that you have a policy, that you guys are on the ground, focusing on education also, because our children are one of our most precious values. Yes, they are our tomorrow. I'm almost out of time. Where do you see yourself? If you could look into a crystal ball today, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I think where I want to be.
Where?
On a beach somewhere, not thinking about anybody.
Not in Kalamazoo?
Oh, no, I'll live here. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. Still involved in NAACP. I just hope not to be the president.
Okay.
But I will work to support anybody that's for the right thing. Be it education, be it employment. And so sometimes and I will say this and leave on this note, I tell people all the time, we don't always have to go and kick in the door. Sometimes you just need to knock and turn the handle. People don't know what we do behind the scenes that helps move some things, And so I'm encouraged by the relationships and the bridges we have built within community organizations that, we all have each other's number. I tell people in a minute as I meet them, I don't want that number through your secretary. Give me your direct number. So when I need to call you right away, and here's mine. So that's how it works.
Wonderful.
And it works well.
And you guys meet once a month. You have a community meeting?
We have a meeting that's for the community. It's our general membership meeting, but you don't have to be a member to come to this meeting. It's the first Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock, and that's at the Family Health Center, which is 117 West Patterson Street.
The first Tuesday of every month. So I'm so glad I didn't book you for a first Tuesday. Will you have one in December?
Absolutely.
And I can't come to that because I'll be in rehearsal for Annie. I am in Annie at the Civic Theater for the holiday show, so please look it up and try to come. It has been a pleasure
Likewise.
having you on today. We're going to have to do a part 2.
Oh,
Because I want to
I'm
talk
here.
more about the NAACP. I want to know more about you. I want to know more about your plans for the NAACP. And I have this quick thing I need to read. The COA Fund is having their annual fundraiser, a sunrise gathering soundscape, Saturday, December 6th from 9 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. at the Epic Center, downtown Kalamazoo. You can go to coafund.org for more information. I promised that young man. I normally don't do that, but I promised him I would. And you got to keep a promise, right, Miss Wendy?
You have to
You
keep a
make a
promise.
promise, you got to keep
You
a
gotta keep
promise.
it. You gotta
That's
keep
old
it.
school, you all. You might not know about that. Our parents taught us well. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. And remember, all stories matter. I didn't know a lot about Miss Wendy today. Well, I knew some things, but those stories she told me, especially about going down south, and every time I hear a good story, I want to put it on stage. So learn somebody's story. Just ask the question. A lot of times we don't talk because we're not asked. And then when we do talk, we're not necessarily listened to. Ask, listen, learn, and then tell your story. Thank you so much. Until next time.